What's going on, guys? Welcome to part 2 of the basement build. So as you can see here, I'm actually done this box. I reinforced it and I cut a plywood top. But you can see how, if I just move this over, I made this into 2 pieces. This one compartment is going to house the water meter and the back water valve that's on the ground here, and then the tenant can store stuff on the one on the right. You can see that I have this 2x4 in the back there, and essentially that is just so that I can add some more bracing to make this box really solid. So if somebody were to sit on this, this is perfectly fine. And then I got some 3/4 inch plywood here that I'm using for the top, and then I'll put, I have some leftover flooring from upstairs, so I'll use that to make like a nice little wood top for this. And the tenant can throw on some pillows or something on here, and we'll still have access to these things down there. One thing we did get is a bathtub here and the toilet and a bunch of plumbing stuff. It's always good to know which plumbing fixtures you're going to use so that your plumber can rough in for the right fixtures. So we got the mixing valve essentially here. That needs to be put in the wall before the drywall. So that's why I got this, and Lowe's had a really good sale on, they had, you know, toilets and other plumbing stuff on sale, so I got the bath as well. That will need to be installed before the drywall as well so that everything can butt up against that. Let's unbox this stuff, see what it looks like. I want to keep this box somewhat intact because I'll use it to protect the tub once everything's going in. We don't want to make the same mistake we did upstairs where the tub got all scratched and we need to actually bring an acrylic guy to fix it. I had been using the bathroom to store all my paint supplies. I'll get all those out of the way. I'll make sure the tub fits. I was afraid that we were a tiny bit short and we would have to kind of shave off some of that stud on the left, so hopefully that's not the case. Glove, that thing's not moving anywhere. One thing that Izza did notice is this plumbing, or this drain for the toilet seems to be too close to the tub, which I don't know exactly how that happened, but we'll probably have to move it around 6 inches. So I'll have to talk to the plumber. I don't know if I end up renting a jackhammer and trenching out a little bit and then redoing the toilet hole and then redoing some concrete. Sounds like a pain. And the last thing that I did right before turning on the camera was I finished these up, just the cross bracing for the ceiling bulkhead. So this is the lowered ceiling all the way across in the hallway. All that's left is to put the resilient channel on here. As you can see, I have my laser level, which is magnetic. So there's actually 2 magnets back here, and you can see it attaches right to this red jack, and essentially that's how I set the entire height of the lowered ceiling. So all the bulkheads are going to be at the same height, and they were all set by this laser level. So you can see that red line being projected all the way across. Maybe it's a little hard to see on camera, but that makes it so you can have a nice, perfectly flat ceiling all the way across the entire room. Now that we got the insulation and all the resilient channels mostly taken care of, we're going to get on to some rough electrical. Like I mentioned in the past, most of the rough electrical was done in the basement just for the occupancy permit. So we do have occupancy upstairs. Downstairs requires a whole different permit. There was a little bit of electrical that was required even for a finished basement, just so that you know, there's emergency lights and stuff like that. So at the time we had done quite a bit. Let's get started on some of that electrical. So what we want to do for the electrical boxes that haven't been installed is that I'm going to go around the room and just kind of lay them out. Essentially I'm trying to get you know, a decent amount of plugs in the room. I'm just going to go around the entire room, place my boxes where I think they should be, and then we'll go around in a second to show you how to actually install them. So for this, you're going to need a few tools. Just a standard hammer, maybe 20 ounce. As long as you're consistent with the height, this is what we're going to use to set the height of the boxes off the ground. This is a nice little trick that Matt, my electrician, taught me, just to get consistent boxes across the room. You're going to want your drill to put it on, and some long enough screws to get the box in the stud. So let's do that now. Alright, so we don't actually need this vapor barrier here, because there is another vapor barrier behind this wall. So put your hammer upside down, you put the box on top, so that'll be the height of your box. That should be consistent all the way across. I'm just going to make a hole here so that I can actually put my box in. If you are using a vapor barrier in your basement, you should put a vapor box behind there and tape that up to the rest of the vapor barrier to do a consistent membrane. So I can see my line right here. That's going to be the bottom of my box. There's little spacers on the side of the box to actually space it out ½ an inch away from the wall, and that is so that the box is flush with the drywall. Get that tight across, and you could just hit that there, and then you want a screw that goes diagonally across, and that ties that box into the stud. So now I just have to do that for every box around the room. It's a pretty repetitive process, so I'll time lapse this and then we can come back for some wiring. So you might have seen me crawling back here, and essentially what I was doing is that I was just marking out the kitchen roughly so that I knew where to put my plugs. Essentially I want the stove plug back here. I'm gonna want one more wire up there for the hood fan, and then so I got a 15-inch cabinet here. I'm gonna have the stove, which is 30 inches with like roughly an inch gap on each side just to be safe, and then another 15-inch cabinet, and then the 30-inch fridge. So at least I got that laid out, so I was able to center the stove plug, which is like this bigger metal box. I got the fridge box here, and then I got these two higher ones that'll be counter receptacles. So the bathroom was already done. There was one plug here, and that was a CGFI, and that was required for the permit upstairs. And now I have one in the hallway right behind me, and I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in the bedroom. So that should be plenty of plugs. We can have up to 8, I believe, on a single circuit. So yeah, it should be pretty easy to run down here. So I'll catch you guys when we do that. All right, so here we have the main living space. We have a few plugs on this wall here, a few plugs on this wall. So all this living room is going to be one circuit. So I'm going to run one white 214 wire that's going down here. I'm going to grab these plugs on this wall. I'm going to go up in here, through the ceiling, down, and catch these plugs. That's going to be it for that. For the kitchen stuff, the fridge is going to be on its own circuit. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to run one white 214 across the wall. For the fridge, I'm going to run a yellow wire that's going to be from the panel, and that's going to be for the two plugs there on the countertop. And it's a pretty short countertop, so those can all be on one. I'm going to run one more for the range hood over here, and then we're going to run the stove plug behind here. The microwave, which is going to be on the island here, is going to have its own circuit. We're just going to let that hang on the wall there until we actually get this base done, and then we'll run the wire in the base and up. Because all the gyms are closed, I went and got this really crappy bench press in my parents' garage. We're gonna make good use of it today. This thing is right beside our breaker, which is right behind me here. So I'm gonna be able to just pull this wire all the way across the room. Let's get started with making some holes. So far, as you've seen, I've ran 2 circuits. I did the entire, the plugs, which is the longest circuit in this living room. As you can see here, I'm just putting in everything just kind of rough, and then I'm gonna go back, cut these, run them in the boxes once all the circuits are done. Before I get too far, one thing I do want to do is I really have to indicate what's what. I remember when we did the whole house, we didn't do that. It was a pain in the ass for Matt to try to figure out what's what. So I'm going to identify them as I go. So when he does come to do the panel connection, he's going to know exactly what wire is which. All I'm going to do is write it on a little piece of tape. You're welcome, Matt. I have most of the living space done. As you can see behind me, this is a pretty messy job. I've had to actually take out some insulation just temporarily because it's going to be much easier to run the wires. As you can see, I ran most of them in the walls. I have to run some stuff over the bathroom to get into the bedroom there, because in the bedroom I will have a few things. So I have to run a blue wire to do all the plugs. So that's the arc fault wire that does the 1 circuit of plugs in the bedrooms. Then I'm gonna have the orange wire for the dryer that's gonna be in the closet. I'm gonna have kind of a small compact stacked unit in the closet. That's a whole other problem. I'm gonna have to move the closet wall out a few inches, so we'll do that shortly. But in the meantime, I'm gonna run the dryer plug there. I'm also going to run just a regular washer plug. Then we're going to go back, staple everything, clean everything up. That's probably going to be tomorrow. In the meantime, I'm going to try to get this insulation out of the way, make my holes, and start running some wires to the bedroom. This day turned out way messier than I thought. I had to take down a lot of insulation, and then just the wood chips from doing a lot of drilling to run the wires was super messy as well. It's 6 p.m. It's Saturday. I'm getting pretty tired of working on this. The basement is a huge mess. Anyways, I'll catch you guys tomorrow morning. Morning. Unfortunately, the basement is still a huge mess, but we must carry on. I did go to the Home Depot and I got some wiring, and then I got this stuff for the stove. 13 meters of the stove stuff was 95 bucks. This stuff is crazy expensive. We're gonna run that today, and then I got a whole bunch of staples for just to clean up all the wiring. So let's just get that done. Back to the old uniform. Perfect. We got that blue wire to the bedrooms. All the circuits are run in the bedroom. So now the very last thing we're gonna have to do is run that 8-3 wire for the stove. So that's the really thick white wire, and we're gonna run it through the joist. We're gonna keep going with the same kind of path we have open already, and we'll drop that right at the kitchen and then drop that all the way down to the big box. That was pretty easy, actually. I'm gonna go clean up the boxes in the bedroom. I'll catch you guys back after so we can start cleaning up. The room's done. Let's get ready for some stapling. My tool belt's full of staples. I'm gonna go around the room. I'm gonna start at the panels. I'm gonna do all the low plugs, and then I'll work my way and staple these, clean everything up as I go, remove kind of the unnecessary slack in all the lines, and then once that's done, I'll do the runs in the ceiling. You don't want these too tight. There's little tabs on the sides of these things. That's about the depth they should go. So they leave a little bit of room for the wires to actually move up and down if you need to pull something in the future. Most of the wires are in place. They're all stapled to the walls. I even did the ones in the ceiling. So I think now it's time to just clean this place up, get it back to normal, and hopefully we can just move on to something else. Got this place all cleaned up. I'll show you guys that in 1 second. One thing that I did want to show you guys before doing that is that in cleaning up these wires for the rough for the boxes, what we're going to do is that we're going to strip this insulation, and that's going to be our rough-in. I went ahead and did all the other boxes off camera. I'm going to show you guys how to do this one. So what we want to do is that we want to leave a little slack. What we need is just about a hand and then a few inches, and everything else can be pulled out of the box. In this box, it's already fairly tight, so this is what I'm going to grab. So what you need is an X-Acto knife, and you're just going to strip the wires. Just down the middle. Essentially what you're doing is you're following the ground wire, so you're not cutting anything else. That's just kind of natural where it's placed, and you're stripping both wires. Then you pull this back. Alright, now take your knife again, and you just want to cut this. So you leave that exposed, and then what you do is that you can just pull this back just a little bit in the box, just so that the little tab in the back there is going to be holding these wires tight so that they won't get lost in the wall with drywall. Now inside the box looks like this. Now what you'll do is just take your drill and drill that little screw at the end until those wires are tightly held in the box. So if you pull on them, they're not going anywhere. And then you're just going to take these and kind of wrap them around in the box, tucked around safely. When the drywaller comes, he's going to use his router to follow this box. He won't damage the wires. Then you could pull these out, and this is going to be all ready to put in your plugs. As you can see, I even cleaned up all the wires. I rerouted them exactly where they should be, and I tied them all up so that they're ready to go in the panel. So whenever we get a chance, Matt is going to come over and do that. I put everything under the bench over there, as you can see, so that that's going to be out of the way for the drywaller. That will be it for part 2 of this basement reno. If you enjoyed this kind of vlog format, leave a comment below and let me know what you think. You can also hit that like button and subscribe. That really helps out the channel, and you can hit that little bell down in the corner to know every time a new video comes out. So thanks a lot, guys. See you guys next time.